So we've watched this here. That was it. And then I had one more video I wanted to take a look at. This one's only a 9-minute and 34-second video, so I'll probably turn that into about 30 minutes. And, we'll see what this goes. This one is from MrGM. MrGM's also another great content creator. This guy goes and he's more into the data mining scene. Like he likes to go in and find things that are coming out and everything. He likes to talk about the upcoming changes and new expansion stuff and all that. So if you're into that kind of stuff, go give MrGM a look as well. So we're going to go on and look at this. He's going to be talking about everything we know about Dracthyr Evoker. So let's take a look.
Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about the Dracthyr Evoker, which is the brand new race class combination coming in Dragonflight, and everything we know so far about this brand new race and class from all the interviews and the announcements and everything like that. But before we jump into that, guys, just want to shout out my Twitch, twitch.tv/MrGM. If you want to see me streaming World of Warcraft, Dragonflight Alpha Beta, Wrath of the Lich King Beta, all of that good stuff, guys, I'm on twitch.tv/MrGM every single day. So yes, in Dragonflight, they are introducing a brand new race and class called the Dracthyr Evoker. Now, the race is called the Dracthyr, and the class is called the Evoker, and these go hand in hand as the Evoker is kind of like a dragon-type class. So you won't be seeing human Evokers or orc Evokers anytime soon, or probably ever, to be honest, as the Evoker class is exclusive to the Dracthyr race. So in this video, we're going to go through all the details for the Dracthyr race and the Evoker class that we know so far. And obviously, if I've missed out any major information, let me know in the comments down below if you know it.
So kind of going on to that point there, they're saying, I'm pretty sure that the reason why you'll probably never see an Evoker, like a Tauren Evoker, for example, is their abilities are dragon-based and everything. Like you'll have moves like Tail Swipe and everything. Things like that would require, one, a substantial amount of animations created for other races and everything. So you're talking about quite a few races, including allied races, they'd have to create animations for. Two, the abilities and everything really only kind of work for a dragon. I mean, really, let's be honest. There's a lot of abilities that they're going to be having, such as their own natural dragon flight, dragon riding, capabilities. Their own innate version of it that apparently won't replace dragon riding at all, but will be a good starting version of it, I guess, a very basic version of it. So the only way I could see it happening is if they consider the Dracthyr race to be these humanoid people, like the humanoid versions of them, and then what they do is they could put in some lore aspect where it's like the Dracthyr has decided it wants to take on more forms of different races around Azeroth, and so they have decided, to start taking on these other forms. So maybe, like, for example, Chromie turns into a gnome. They could probably start doing it to where instead of necessarily making the Dracthyr Evoker available to other races, what they can do is start adding customization to the Dracthyr race humanoid form to allow for things like Tauren and all that stuff. So that's one way I could see it actually working out. That could be something cool. And then, of course, if they only limit it to the Dracthyr race, they could always just make it to where when you go to the barber shop in game, you can choose what base race you want as their humanoid form. So that'll give people the option to be a badass dragon that turns into a gnome or a goblin or whatever. But from a purely lore and probably technical standpoint, I don't foresee them ever doing Evoker for other things unless they're going to have to completely rework the whole class, which I think would kind of take away some of the, I guess, aesthetic to the class. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, let's see what MrGM has to say. I rambled on too much there.
Anything else about this race class? Because obviously this is everything we know before alpha. Once we get into alpha testing, we'll know everything about this race and class. So, first and foremost, as mentioned, Dracthyr can only be Evokers, and Evokers can only be Dracthyr. However, it was kind of hinted at that, you know, over time, potentially there is a chance that Dracthyr might be able to become warriors or hunters or anything like that, as they're going to be spending some time with the
That would be nice.
Azeroth. But that is obviously not the plan from 10.0, and probably won't even be the plan for the entirety of Dragonflight. I can see something like this coming in like a 10.3 or 11.0. But yeah, I definitely see these Dracthyr eventually becoming kind of regular classes as we continue through World of Warcraft. The
Dracthyr Rogue
is coming actually in the pre-patch of Dragonflight, so you'll be able to create your Dracthyr Evoker in the pre-patch of Dragonflight and be able to play through the starting experience. You can actually only make one per realm because they do start at level 58. So yeah, one Dracthyr Evoker per realm, and if you delete that Dracthyr Evoker, you can obviously make a new one. But yeah, as of the start of Dragonflight, you can only make one Dracthyr Evoker per realm, and that's what we've had in the past with previous hero classes. Now, the Dracthyr race do start in a...
I didn't realize that they'd start that high.
Reach. This is an area on the Dragon Isles, which has been hinted at that we will visit later on in the expansion, potentially in 10.1 or beyond. So yeah, the Forbidden Reach is the story starting zone for the Dracthyr. I would imagine it'd be kind of similar to the Demon Hunter or the Death Knight starting zone in regards to kind of the story and how it kind of plays out. It sounds like it's going to be pretty interesting from what Steve Danusa said in the recent Twitter Spaces interview with Taliesin. So yeah, looking forward to Forbidden Reach. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think that's going to be one of the first things we do see in the alpha testing of Dragonflight. As mentioned, they do start at level 58. The level cap for Dragonflight is going up to 70, and it was mentioned as well that they will gain talents while doing the starting zone, kind of akin to the Death Knight in Wrath of the Lich King, where quests actually rewarded you with talent points, as we're obviously getting a massive talent revamp in 10.0. The ratios for the Dracthyr include a Wing Buffet, which is a knockback, and a Tail Swipe, which is a knock up. So 2 active abilities for the Dracthyr, which actually sound really cool, and yeah, I'm curious to see how they work in PvP. I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic there. And obviously,
what I'm wondering is if it's like the Worgen, where the only form you can be in combat is the dragon form. Like with the Worgen, you can only be in the Worgen form, but you can be like the human form, you know, for RP purposes or, you know, whatever. But I'm wondering if that's going to be the same way with these guys, because I would imagine with abilities like Tail Swipe and stuff, you're not just going to see the humanoid version kind of wiggle their butt around, you know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're going to have that hard transition from humanoid to dragon as a requirement.
To previous dragon bosses with Wing Buffet and Tail Swipe being abilities that you've always seen dragons do in WoW. The Dracthyr will have 2 forms similar to the Worgen. One is the dragon form that you've probably seen, and of course the Visage form, which is the mortal form for the Dracthyr. Now, the male model is based off of the male Blood Elf model, and the female model is based off of the human female. However, they have made a lot of modifications to this model, and no doubt these models will have unique animations. It just looks like they're originally based off of those 2 forms. You're not going to be getting like Tauren forms or gnome forms or anything like that. It will just be these blood elves and human looking forms.
I'm going to say, like, while the forms, like the visage, however you pronounce it, forms look cool, they're really not my thing. I'm not really for the scaly people appearance. So, it is what it is.
Now, these are completely customizable separately as well, so you can, you know, give yourself certain horns on the human form and then have different horns on the dragon form. It's completely separate, and some of the customizations do look absolutely incredible. I will have a video going through all of those really, really soon, but yeah, there is a lot to customize in the human form and a lot to customize in the dragon form, including a ton of skin colors, which is really awesome to see. There's also mentioned when changing between...
I do like the appearance of like the hair colors and stuff like that. I think that's really cool. and it would be nice to see more of that implemented into the other races as well. I think having more options for customization is always a net plus for a game. Giving people the ability to customize the character to look more like them if they want, or just go crazy and make something complete out of this world is always a cool thing. So it would be nice to see some of those customization options go toward the other races as well. I really do hope, though, that with the human forms of the Dracthyr, you're able to choose non-scaly versions. That's personal preference. I'm pretty sure I'm probably not the only person out there that thinks this. Obviously, having some sort of visual distinction between races is always a good thing, but if you're in a PvP setting, and if the Evoker class works how I think it's going to work, and you're only able to be the dragon form while in combat, you're not going to have any trouble distinguishing an Evoker from a human female or a blood elf male. I really don't think that's going to be an issue.
Between the dragon and visage form, it's not going to be like the Worgen. It's going to be more like a puff of smoke, similar to what we saw Rathian do and other dragons in World of Warcraft when they changed from their mortal to dragon form. So no like crazy animation is expected between the two forms. They also said that most of the combat will happen in dragon form as an evoker, obviously. But they did say that they are looking into potentially some abilities being able to be done in visage form. So yeah, we'll have to see more specifics of that once we roll into alpha testing.
Okay, so that kind of confirms that for me.
The visage form, the human form, will obviously have all of the gear available and on show. You'll be able to see what you're wearing at all times, obviously, like you do in WoW. But for the dragon form, there'll only be some gear supported, it sounds like. You know, the details are a bit sparse on this one a little bit. Some interviews say you can see shoulders and belts and things like that. And some other interviews do mention that it's going to be something that you customize at the barbershop. So not really sure on that one. Obviously, if you have any more details, do let me know down below. But yeah, that one's a little bit kind of like mixed messages across the board there. But
yeah, I'm not a fan.
Some parts of gear showing on the dragon form, I think that'd be really cool to see. As for the racial mount for the Dracthyr, they are their own racial mount. I believe they're a flying mount as well, which is awesome, obviously with those big wings. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. And finally, for the Dracthyr race, you could be Horde or Alliance, and this is like a choice you're going to be making at the character select screen, as opposed to something that you do in game. I don't know if there'll be much story in relation to them joining the Horde or Alliance, but yeah, Horde or Alliance for the Dracthyr, you could choose it from the very start there, which is really cool to see. Okay, so let's jump into the Evoker class. So this is the class that the Dracthyr can exclusively be. So yeah, first and foremost.
So I know I'm a little late on pausing it right there, but I honestly, I liked how they did it with the Pandaren. I liked it better. I understand why they didn't do that with the Demon Hunters, because the Demon Hunters were just one of those things where it's like you're choosing Blood Elf or Night Elf. You're not choosing anything else. Like you've got those two races you can play the Demon Hunter on, and you're choosing one or the other. Obviously, Blood Elf's going to be Horde, Night Elf's going to be on Alliance. That makes sense to me. But if you're doing a kind of neutral race of sorts, I prefer to have it to where you choose the faction in game, like with the Pandaren, because you can go and, you know, just go through the starting area and then at the very end be like, all right, which side do you choose? Oh man, this is a tough choice. Oh no, what am I going to choose? Obviously Horde, because that's where all your friends are. But, you know, I liked having it as a lore aspect in the game. And maybe they're going to add the lore aspect within game as to why your character ends up going on the Horde side. But, I don't know. I kind of liked, you know, that. There was only one thing that kind of sucked about it, and that was receiving mail from your main characters. You couldn't, like, interact with your main character in whatever meaningful way. You couldn't join a guild while you're on, you know, on the turtle until you chose your faction. So that was kind of lame. But and I can see why they might not want to go that route because of that. But I just feel like you should be able to you know, go through it in game. But I think they split the Pandaren now too. I haven't played a Pandaren in like ages at this point, so but I think they split it between the two. Maybe I'll make a Pandaren alt and see if they've made that change, but yeah.
This is a male wearing class. Yes, we have a brand new male wearing class coming in Dragonflight. We're going to have more people fighting for that male armor with the Evoker class.
Fighting for it. It's all personal loot.
You have Preservation and Devastation. Preservation is their healing spec. It's a healing spec that's supposed to fill a new niche, providing good AoE clumped healing and preparing for damage with time magic, which sounds really cool. With my interview with Brian Halinka, he made it sound like it's kind of a new kind of healing spec, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that plays. As for Devastation, which is their DPS spec, this is a mid-range DPS spec with fire breathing and things like that, and you can fly over the battlefield and do all sorts of stuff. I'm sure I'm repeating the same footage over and over, so I'm sure you've seen that footage non-stop in the video. But yeah, there's only
so much footage available though.
With the Devastation DPS spec, and of course the animations for the healing spec as well look really awesome, and I'm looking forward to, as I said, you know, playing around with it and seeing what that's like actually in game. They have a new type of ability as well called an empowered ability. The specific ability for the Evoker is called Dream Breath. This is actually a cone ability which could be charged by holding down a key. This is a new type of ability, as I mentioned, and this is not something we've seen in World of Warcraft before. The reasoning for this is obviously just, you know, it's a breath effect. The longer you hold it down, it could be the further it goes, the more damage it does, the longer the dot is, things like that. They're still looking into how the specifics of this work. It's about 3 seconds.
I think it would be hilarious if you hold it down way too long and it fizzles and you just kind of, you see your character gasping for air. I think that would be hilarious. I mean, I don't think it would be beneficial in any way. I just think it would be kind of funny. Just imagine going into like a battleground and you come across an evoker and they're about to cast some sort of breath ability on you, and next thing you know you see them gasping for air instead because they held their breath for too long. I think that would be hilarious. But I think this idea of adding charge up attacks could be awesome. Just imagine if they added a charge up attack like this for, like, for example, the Warrior's Whirlwind. That would be sweet. Like, each rank of Whirlwind just increases in damage, but the higher in damage you can go, the easier it is to, like, be stunned or something. I don't know. I think it would be kind of cool.
Second cast time, and they want players to make a kind of on-the-spot conscious decision whether they want to hold it down for the entire 3 seconds or just do a quick kind of burst dream breath there. As for other classes getting empowered abilities in the future, that is something they are open to. They just kind of want to see how the empowered ability works for the Evoker before they throw it onto other classes in 10.0, so it's probably something we'll see in the future. And finally, for the Evokers, they have a brand new resource called Essence, which regenerates over time. Now, this is an interesting one because when Brian was describing it, it sounded like it was just energy, similar to Rogues, but it's called Essence, so not really sure on that one. I think we'll see more of that once we get into some gameplay and kind of see how these Evokers actually play out in a kind of dungeon or raid scenario. But yeah, Essence is their brand new resource, and we will obviously see more of that very, very soon. So yeah, guys, that's basically it. That's everything we kind of know from interviews and different information which has come out about the Dracthyr Evoker. And as mentioned before, please do let me know down below if you have any more information on the Dracthyr Evoker and anything that I kind of majorly missed there, or any unanswered questions that we don't know so far. I did a recent interview with Brian Halinka, as I mentioned, and I try to get as much information as possible on some of the unanswered questions for the Dracthyr. So yeah, let me know down below, guys, what you think of this new race class combination. Are you a Evoker main now? I'm probably not, but I'll definitely try it in the testing period for sure, and I'll probably make one when it comes out because, you know, it's a new shiny thing. You have to do that. So yeah, before I go, I'd like to give a massive shout out to my amazing patrons, YouTube channel members, and Twitch subs. You guys are awesome, and if you'd like to support the channel in any of those ways, links are down below. So leave a like on this video, guys, if you'd like to, and subscribe if you haven't. I've also got a partner Discord channel with over 3,000 members, and as I said, I'm now streaming on twitch.tv/MrGM. If you want to see me streaming World of Warcraft, patch 10.0 alpha beta, Wrath of the Lich King alpha beta, patch 9.2.5, any sort of World of Warcraft content, guys, I'm over on twitch.tv.
Any beta he can get into.
Every single day. And with that, guys, I'll see you next time.
Alright, so yeah, another good video. Alright, so I like watching these videos about this because it kind of puts into perspective in a short and sweet single resource to go to see what we know about this and what has been said about it so far. And So, I mean, if you like content like that, go check out MrGM. I'll put the link in the chat here so you can take a look as well. So, my thoughts on the Dracthyr Evoker so far, because obviously that's what they are. They can only be the Evoker, and the Evoker can only be Dracthyr, as has been stated. My thoughts on it is probably not for me. Now, there's two reasons for that. One, I'm not exactly a healing guy. I don't really heal things. I don't feel comfortable healing dungeons or raids and things like that. And holy cow, Streamloots, get off my face. Thank you. I don't really like healing things. I've dipped my toes into it a few times. Back in Wrath, I leveled up a druid, and it was mostly to tank with, right? But I kind of tried out the healing thing. I did pretty decent with it. Even had some guilds try and recruit me for healing, but I'm just like, nah, dude, nah, that's not my thing. I'm just kind of doing this out of boredom right now, so doing something different. But honestly, that's not really my thing. Obviously, that could be DPS, but we'll have to wait and see what the Evoker can do and if it's any good. Now, if it's anything like I think it's going to be, it's going to start out extremely overtuned, and people are going to really enjoy it because it's overtuned, and then it's going to get nerfed to the ground like Death Knight's got. So I don't expect that to be a thing for long. Now, obviously they were talking about the customizations and things like that. I really do hope that they consider some of the customizations I was talking about, such as the possibility of looking like other races and everything like that. Even if those other races may have slight variations on them, like maybe scales around the face. I'm not a fan of that, but you know, hey, there's a lot of people that are, and they can have that option. But as I said before, also, more options are better. Giving people options is a net positive for everything. When it comes to the dragon form and the visibility of armor, I've got mixed feelings on that one, because on one hand, I feel like obviously there's some armor that probably wouldn't fit a Dracthyr very well from a technical standpoint. However, I feel like they should at least make the effort to try to get that to work. Only because I'm not... One of the reasons why I don't like playing a druid is because when you're playing any spec other than resto spec, you basically don't see your armor. I mean, obviously you can do the astral version of the balance spec using a glyph and everything, which you take on the form of basically a celestial creature of sorts that basically resembles your character but is really blue and transparent. But you still don't get the true appearance of your character. And the only time you actually see your character is when you're out of form, which is typically not the way you play the class. I mean, clearly, if you're going to try hitting Thrash, you're more than likely going to shift into bear form, for example. When they added the different appearances for the forms, that was really cool. I was happy to see that, but still, I don't know. I feel like visible armor on any character, especially in combat, is just really nice to have. Even if the current sets that they have out for different dungeons and raids and stuff don't look all that visually appealing, being able to use older sets and mix and match pieces and transmogs and stuff like that is I think it's great. Now, clearly, that being said, we're talking about dragons here. Typically, dragons don't have armor. their armor is their scales. So that's kind of where I'm kind of like, okay, I guess I understand. The fact that they're adding some sort of like customization for the appearance is nice. So I'll let that slide. I mean, I'm probably not going to play the class anyway, so it is what it is. But yeah, another good video from MrGM. As you probably saw earlier, I wasn't subscribed for whatever reason. There's a lot of videos that pop up my feed all the time, and I think I'm subscribed to them, but I'm not. So I went subscribed, so go give him a subscription, like his video and all that. And yeah, so I guess that's enough for the react time.